Let's talk about one of the most maddening parts of being human, shall we? Why is it so incredibly hard to do the things we know are good for us? We spend all this time setting goals, making these grand plans, only to find out that the biggest thing standing in our way is us. We're about to dive into exactly why that happens. And here's a hint, the answer isn't about motivation. It's about the ancient automatic wiring deep inside your skull. Oof, does that hit a little too close to home? It's that sinking feeling, right? The moment you order the junk food, or you hit send on that text you swore you wouldn't, or you're scrolling at 2 a.m. with a huge meeting tomorrow, there's a perfectly rational voice in your head listing all the reasons not to, but it's like your body is being controlled by someone else. And man, it feels like a personal failure every single time. But what if I told you it's not? I want you to really let that sink in for a second. This constant struggle, it's not a lack of willpower. It's not a discipline problem. It is a fundamental design feature of the human brain. Your mind is literally built with an internal conflict, a constant tug of war between what you want right now and what you want most. And this conflict, this is what leads directly to self-sabotage. Understanding this crazy architecture is the only way to start taking back the controls. So let's dive right into this paradox. Think about it. As a species, we can compose symphonies, we build particle accelerators, we've sent probes to the freaking edge of the solar system. And yet, we can't bring ourselves to just answer that one important email. It seems completely illogical, right? Like a glitch in the system. But there's a powerful ancient logic at play here. It's just a logic that wasn't designed for our modern world of deadlines and diets. Think about the feeling that's really driving these actions. Putting off that stressful project, that gives you instant relief from anxiety. Eating that comfort food, boom, a nice little dopamine hit when you're feeling down. Staying in a familiar but toxic situation, well, that feels safer than the terrifying unknown. See? Every single one of these is a short-term fix for an immediate, painful emotion. It's driven by a part of your brain that only cares about surviving the next 5 minutes. It doesn't know, and frankly couldn't care less about the consequences next week. So who is this culprit? Where does this short-sighted, impulsive decision maker live? Well, the answer comes from the incredible work of a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, Daniel Kahneman. And he proposed something revolutionary, that we don't have one single mind. Instead, we have two different systems, two inner agents that are constantly bottling it out for control of our thoughts and actions. All right, meet the two managers running your life. On one side, you've got system one, your autopilot. This is your gut reaction, your intuition, your emotional brain. It's lightning fast, it works automatically without you even thinking about it, and it's always on. On the other side, you have system two, the pilot. This is your conscious, reasoning mind. It's logical, analytical, great with complex problems. But here's the catch. The pilot is slow, it gets tired super easily, and it takes a ton of energy to use. And the autopilot, it never gets tired. Now, this is where it gets absolutely wild. Look at the sheer, shocking imbalance of power here. Research suggests that your emotional autopilot is running the show about 96% of the time. Your thoughtful logical pilot, it only chimes in for about 4% of your daily decisions. This is why self-sabotage happens. It's why you get a flash of road rage, why you impulse buy something you don't need, why you get lost scrolling on your phone. You can make the best, most logical plans in the world with your pilot, but by the time the moment of truth arrives, your autopilot has already grabbed the steering wheel. And this shows you the actual hardware behind the war. Deep in your brain, you have the amygdala. Think of it as your ancient, jumpy alarm system. It's the engine of your autopilot, constantly scanning for threats and rewards, screaming danger or do it now. And then right behind your forehead, you have the prefrontal cortex. This is your brain's modern CEO. It's the home of your pilot, trying to make long-term plans and calm your impulses. Most self-sabotage is just the story of the ancient screaming alarm completely drowning out the calm, rational voice of the CEO. Now, this internal battle doesn't just create random chaos. Oh no, it produces predictable, repeating patterns of self-defeating behavior that show up in all of our lives. So let's break down 4 of the most common ways your autopilot systematically wrecks your best intentions. Let's start with the big one, the most famous pattern of all. We call it laziness. We buy planners and apps, but we're missing the point completely. See, when you're faced with a big, important task, your brain doesn't just see the task. It sees all the negative feelings attached to it, the anxiety of failure, the insecurity, the boredom. Your autopilot's #1 job is to make those bad feelings go away, and to do it now. And what's the fastest way to do that? Just avoid the task and do something fun instead. It's a perfect short-term mood fix that, you guessed it, creates a long-term disaster.
Okay, this second pattern is sneaky. It actually disguises itself as being responsible. You're faced with a tough decision, and your autopilot wants to avoid the risk of making the wrong choice. So it sends your conscious mind on this endless mission for more information, more options, more what-if scenarios. You spend weeks researching the perfect workout plan instead of just, going for a walk. You map out every possible career path until you're too overwhelmed to apply for anything. It feels productive, but you're not moving. You're just building a very sophisticated cage for yourself.
So here's a crucial point. Your brain is fundamentally conservative. It's a survival machine built to protect what it already has. The fear of losing your current salary, even if you hate your job, feels twice as powerful to your autopilot as the potential joy of finding a new, amazing career. This bias, it's called loss aversion, and it's like psychological gravity. It keeps you stuck in bad relationships, unfulfilling jobs, and unhealthy routines. To your autopilot, the misery you know feels safer than the unknown possibility of something better. All right, this last one is the deepest and maybe the weirdest of all. Your brain craves a consistent, predictable story about who you are. So, if deep down you have a core belief like, I'm unlovable or I always mess things up, your autopilot will unconsciously steer you towards people and situations that prove that story true. It sounds crazy, I know, but it's a bizarre form of self-protection. It chooses the familiar pain of being right about a negative belief over the terrifying uncertainty of discovering you might have been wrong about yourself all along. So right about now, you might be thinking, okay, this all makes sense, but surely having a high IQ, a really powerful system too, would make me immune to this stuff, right? Well, here's the plot twist. Being smarter doesn't just fail to protect you from self-sabotage. In many cases, it can actually make you more vulnerable to it. Your powerful intellect can become the autopilot's greatest weapon. See, highly intelligent people are exceptionally good at spotting flawed logic and irrationality in other people. But that very skill makes them dangerously overconfident about their own objectivity. It's called the bias blind spot. They fail to see that their own brain is running the exact same buggy, emotional software as everyone else's. They think they've reasoned their way to a conclusion when really, their logical pilot has just been hired as a high-powered lawyer to defend a case for what their emotional autopilot wanted all along. And that right there is the core of the intelligence trap. A big brain doesn't just make better decisions, it also builds better, more convincing excuses. Instead of using your logic to question your impulses, you use it to construct this airtight, rational-sounding case for why, actually, eating that entire pizza is a perfectly defensible thing to do right now. Your intelligence becomes a tool for sophisticated self-deception. Okay, I know this all might sound a bit bleak, like the whole system is rigged against us, but it is not hopeless. The secret isn't to fight your brain's architecture with brute force and willpower. Trust me, that's a losing battle. The secret is to understand the system and work with it, not against it. So let's get into some actual strategies for taking back the controls. Here's a simple 3-step game plan. First, you have to become a detective of your own mind. When you procrastinate, what's the specific feeling that comes right before? Is it anxiety, boredom, self-doubt? Just name it. That's your trigger. Second, make decisions when your calm, rational pilot is in charge, not when your autopilot is panicking. This is called a pre-decision. Don't just say, I'll work out this week. Decide on Sunday. On Tuesday at 6 p.m., I will go to the gym and do this specific routine. Finally, just accept that your autopilot is lazy and will always take the path of least resistance. So rig the game in your favor. Make the good choice the easy choice and the bad choice the hard one. And here is a powerful question you can carry with you. In that crucial moment of choice, just pause and ask yourself this. Is this decision coming from a place of fear, of avoiding discomfort? That's the alarm bell from the amygdala. Or is it coming from a place of growth, of moving towards my long-term goals? That's the CEO in my prefrontal cortex. Just pausing to ask the question is what's called a pattern interrupt. It's like a splash of cold water that wakes up your sleeping pilot and forces it to grab the controls, even if just for a second. So, as you think about all this, which of those 4 patterns really feels familiar? Does one hit a little too close to home? Are you the emotional procrastinator, the brilliant overthinker who's stuck, the one trapped by the safety of the comfort zone? Or are you stuck repeating the same painful loops? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so let us know in the comments. Sharing it is a really powerful first step. And this is the most important thing I want you to take away today. You are not weak, you are not broken, and you are definitely not alone in this. This internal battle is the universal human condition. It's the fight that every single person has every single day. But it is not an unwinnable war.
By understanding the rules of the game and the nature of your own mind, you can stop fighting yourself and finally start leading yourself.